Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
Hey Dale, what the heck am I doing in here on a Saturday evening?
Well, all the cool kids are doing this. They're
Yes,
they're
yes, I
on
can
this
see that.
they're
Yes.
on this site about politics. Is there anywhere else you can go to get the news, get videos played
Oh,
back?
oh yes. There was a brief respite there before the shameless, plugging entered the fray.
This is
Yes. Oh,
non-commercial.
yes. You are so right.
No,
You are
this
so
is
right. Yes,
non-commercial.
that's
These
right because
pats
it's
on the back,
non-commercial.
that's the only
Yes.
reward I get is people saying, "Good job, Dale," and people on the other side to say, "You terrible, awful person." Boy, that's just one of those hidden benefits. Woo! I'm happy to hear it.
Yes.
It's all that they can
Exactly.
do. Well, that sign to Parkway and M, why, that was an attractive nuisance. I just had to steal it.
Yes.
You,
I'll
you
tell
just
you.
don't see that kind of stuff happening from the anti-levy people. They just don't do it. There are people within that part of the movement that are not always on the up and up. There is in every part of the world, right? But
Sure.
but you don't see stuff like standing up in a church. Oh, it's legal. Yeah, that's not really the point. Is
Yeah.
that really what should be happening? And we'll talk a little bit about this. As a matter of fact, why don't we just jump straight into Cheryl
Yeah, we
Walker
can.
breaking the law?
Yeah, we can. This last weekly business session is the gift that just keeps on giving. There was so much stuff that came out of that, and here's the latest little tidbit. Well, you'll see.
A comment was just made by Ms. Kirkpatrick Pilger that says if you keep doing what you're doing, you get the same result. Well, if you keep voting down the levies, we keep getting the same results. We are not going to be in any better shape next year because the money we're getting from the secure rule schools is less than we had last year. It takes $4.5 million just to run the jail at the current level. If you don't like the current level, it's going to be worse next year because it's less money. So if you keep voting down the support, and even the founding fathers, including George Washington, said it's up to the public to pay to support the society that we have established. So, yeah, that's a very true thing. If you keep doing the same thing, you get the same result. And I think that there was an awful lot of comment here about something that was taken off the agenda, so I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay.
So it was a little hard to read that at the bottom. And what it said is, according to Oregon election law, this is illegal. You could read that part. Posted on the front door, advocating for a measure has been prohibited since April 20. It's against the
Yeah.
law. It's called electioneering.
On the front door of the Ann Basker, by the way,
That's correct.
the
Yes.
Ann Basker Auditorium, where all these meetings take place.
That's what she was doing, and that's against the law, and she knows it. She did it last year to promote that levy, and you're
Yes.
not allowed to do that. And if we did that, what would happen to us, Mike? What do you think would happen?
Oh, there'd be a sledgehammer dropped on our heads, essentially. Keith Heck would say, "No, that's it. You're done, and you're banned from the Ann Basker Auditorium."
Now, here is Keith Heck's reaction to what she was saying.
Yes, right, exactly.
Isn't
Well,
that great?
I thought it was funny. At about 20 seconds into that video, Cheryl does one of these things where she takes an eyeball over at the camera, and I think she just wanted to be on the show. She knew that her comments basically in that weekly business session were going to make the program, and she was right. Hey, this week starring Cheryl Walker.
It's easy for her to get on our show. All she has to do is open up her mouth and say almost anything. And it's almost
Yeah.
like Dave Toller was. Dave Toller at the end, really, he couldn't go a single day, this former commissioner, without saying something that was just like, what in the world does he do? That's such an outrageous lie. I mean, he said, I never did anything when he did. Remember? Well, of course you remember, because I keep bringing it up. When I went to a meeting and I was trying to let everybody know what Simon Hare had said, that he had lied, and I had proof that he lied, and I brought the proof with me, and he cut the power rather than let you hear that.
Right.
This Dave Toller.
Wow.
So, wow, who was it? Here's a little bit of trivia for those. There's plenty of people that know this. Who was it that Simon Hare ran against and won and beat the first time that he ran?
Dave Toller?
Toller. Yes, Dave Toller. We replaced this liar, Dave Toller. He really was a liar. I mean, toward the end, it was just worse and worse and worse. It was horrible. And the thing is, the Tolleristas that were backing this guy up, they didn't want to believe in him. I said, wait a minute, I've got it on tape. Well, so.
Yes, it doesn't matter. Evidence? You have evidence? We don't need no stinking evidence.
And as Cheryl Walker said about Simon Hare, well, you weren't there in the bar? No, I wasn't there. So that's hearsay. No, it's not. It's based on the police report. It's the police that said that he was a liar.
I think when people get into arguments, political arguments especially, you should keep in your mind the tally of how many people have been turned by your argument and said, oh, you know what? You're right about that. And let me see here. I'm trying to think. No, it's not happened. So don't worry. It's still go forth with your argument and don't worry about convincing people like Cheryl that you're right.
Do you think she really believes that she's right in her heart of hearts? She really believes
of course.
That. You think that she doesn't realize when she's breaking the law or lying? You think she doesn't know?
Yeah. Listen, I think she knows about that, but I think she also doesn't care.
Well, Keith Eck said it. Keith Eck did say that 3 times. I know we're breaking the law, and I don't care.
Yes, but the thing is that in the mind of someone like this, the ends justify the means. So it doesn't matter. They're just going to do what they're going to do, and that's that.
Well, what happened to this definition of integrity, which says you do the right thing even when nobody can see what you're doing?
Yes, you're talking about moral people.
Well, I don't think all government is like that. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that all government is inherently evil. I don't think so.
No, listen, I don't think so either. I'm sure that there are good people that work even in our county government. There are some good people in there.
Yes, however, we had him on the show.
Yes, but here's the problem. The problem is that everybody, when offered, hey, would you like a raise? They go, well, sure, I'd like a raise. Bring it on. Well, and that's all that happens inside a government is they're constantly ratcheting up. Let's take this a little higher. Let's get a little bit more benefits. Let's get a little bit more pay. Let's get a few more people working under me, and that will also merit a pay raise for me. And then everybody watches how they do that. And of course, the higher up the ladder that you get, the more privileges you get in climbing that ladder. And then before you know it, you're Rosemary Paget, and you're retiring at 130%.
The reason I don't get 130% now, and I got next to nothing, okay, really, it's like 2 nickels. The reason I don't get all that is because I was working with the government for Uncle Sam and getting news out to people in Africa and stuff like that. And they came to me and they wanted me to falsify some documents. I didn't have to think about it. I'll get back to you. I immediately said, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Well, what difference does it make to you? I said, well, if it doesn't make any difference, then you do it. No, we need your name on it. I wouldn't do it. Now, when faced with that decision, of course I want the money. Of course I want retirement, especially now. But no, you can't. My boss won't let me do that.
But let's talk about what makes a bad county employee. Does
Now, wait a minute. Wait a second.
Okay. All right. Okay, we can't talk about that?
No. We both work with bad county. So are we bad county employees? Sorry.
Yes. Well, if I ever got paid anything, then I'd be a bad county
It's the
employee.
opposite.
But until then, I'm just a donor. No, you know what? Here's the problem: is that public employees at all don't have to conform to the same standard that a private employee does. Generally speaking, they just don't, because there isn't the same level of accountability that takes place. So if you have a good county employee, it just is because they are driven, holding themselves to a particular standard. You know, not only that, you can also have somebody who's involved in this this massive bureaucracy and shuffling papers around, which ultimately ends up hindering other people's lives and making it more difficult for people to do business and things like that. But they do perfectly fine at their job. They're fulfilling the requirement. But that fits my definition of a bad county employee. Is somebody who is fulfilling this particular bureaucratic need that is ultimately harmful to people.
What happened to Arthur O'Hare? I liked this guy. He was working under Rosemary Paget, but you could always go to Arthur O'Hare in the finance office for the county, and you ask him a question, and he would do what he could to find the answer. I mean, and then just recently I got up and I said, well, I asked this question at this meeting of the elected officials compensation committee, and they kind of, did this to me and did that to me and tried to make me shut up. Not they did. Some guy that wasn't even on their committee was trying to shut me up. And then Arthur O'Hare comes in. So I made my point. He comes in and he says, well, there's no questions allowed at such a meeting. Well, I look like an idiot because he said this in public, and he has a microphone right in front of him. That's the power. He has this microphone. Well, that's Mr. Matthews. He tried to ask a question. We're not allowed to ask a question. So therefore, and I could even see some of the 5 out of 6 of the budget people are pro-levy people. And they were like, well, yeah, that's, who the heck does he think he is asking a question? The problem is Arthur O'Hare, that was not true. They've always allowed questions at these committee meetings. I've been going to them for more than 5 years now, I think, and and it's on the agenda. And I did ask my question, and I did get an answer once J.J. Schofield would just shut up. It wasn't his. I'm not going to allow you to ask that question. Hey, it's not up to you, buddy. It's up to the chair. Okay, so
but
Arthur O'Hare lied. He gave false public testimony that made me look like an idiot.
Well, okay. So the question you asked was, what happened to Arthur O'Hare? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, his journey to the dark side was complete, and so the emperor retired, and now he's the emperor. And that's really geeky. People who aren't Star Wars geeks are not going to get any of that. And I'm sorry about that.
He seemed like a really good guy. And now he's lied in public. This was a budget committee meeting that was live. He has a microphone. It's recorded, not only by the county, but by us. And he gave false public testimony. And he's the finance director.
Yeah.
Just to try to make some citizen look bad. If you don't know, shut up. And if you're sure, then go ahead and say it. We do. But we're not going to give false testimony. He did. He's a confirmed liar.
Okay, yes. But you know what? This is what happens to people like Cheryl Walker and Arthur O'Hare is that after a while, the ends justify the means. And so if you have to do this to accomplish your goal, then that's what you do.
Do you think I'm going to get an apology out of this character?
No, of course not. This is what I mean. We had a conversation before the show. I know I'm not supposed to admit that, but it was true.
I just don't want you to think we're talking about you behind your
back. I'm not sure whether I made this point before the show or not, but you're never, ever going to get one of these people to admit that you're right about something. So to give up on that. Thank you very much.
As Mark Gowen said, you're supposed to respect authority. I'm going to keep saying this. We are the authority. In America, the government is supposed to be our servant. Now, I know it hasn't worked out that way so far, or lately, but we need to remember that, because when we go and this guy is smirking about Cheryl Walker and him breaking the law. I know we're breaking the law and I don't care. That's what he said. And he didn't just say it once, he said it 3 times and he was shouting it. Okay.
Right.
When that happens, we shouldn't say, well, you know, they're the authorities. No, they're not. We're the authorities and they're the public servants. They've just gone wrong.
You know what? Here's the problem with that is that whole Romans 13 thing. I just reject that whole thing.
You're rejecting the word of God, Michael Jones.
I'm going to be struck by lightning here or something like that. But I don't buy into that. And as soon as you start saying that, that has been used as a rationale to submit to tyranny in our past, where millions / tens of millions / hundreds of millions have been murdered.
That's right.
And so I just yes, and slash. So that one there, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna take the risk of violating that rule. Thank you. I just will.
Well, I'm an American, so unless the founding fathers were Satanists, I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have, because it's Saturday, and you can see I've got a piggy bank with headphones on over my shoulder. Not this one. That's not the piggy. This is the piggy. And we're going to...
and what exactly is the symbolism there? Radio advertising is like a pig wearing headphones.
No, every time we do these radio ads, I put up something in the middle of the headphones, and it's from a magazine called
okay.
Radio Advertising.
Radio Advertising. Yes.
And this one's about radio advertising on a budget, which we definitely are, because this one's coming out of my pocket. And now, as we've mentioned to you many times in the past, we're not selling anything. We're just trying to tell people the news, and partly because we don't have any newspaper in this town. So you're going to see the stories that have been out there that we've been working on. And I make it clear to the radio listeners on KMED from 6 to 9 every morning, Monday through Friday, what they can find at badcounty.com, which is completely non-commercial, blah, blah. Okay, so here is the first ad. I say slowly, so Mike will have it ready. Go ahead there, Mike.
Yes.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. Sunday service at River Valley Church included a video about the life of Jesus? No, about how you will vote for the levy. Badcounty.com. News without filtering.
Okay.
Dale said I was going to agree with every one of these ads before we did them because I haven't heard these yet. I totally disagree with that one.
Oh, come on now.
Yes.
So what do you think about that? They went into church. They probably thought they were going to get a sermon about the life of Jesus. Oh, we're going to play a video for you today. Woohoo! What's it going to be about? Well, it's going to be all about the levy.
You know what? I think that it's actually pretty morally despicable to play out something like that and not tell people that this is a political event before the beginning of the sermon. I'm sorry. That's pretty low. That's pretty low. These people, once again, this is by any means necessary. So you sandbag these people and you go, and listen, the more, and I've watched this thing a few times, the whole sermons, and every single element of this, every single one of them is priming you for the ad at the end. And they are, despite what people are saying, they are saying if you're not for the levy, you're a Satan worshiper. They don't say it in those words, but hello, can we not read a book and extrapolate the meaning from it? When you're watching this video, every single point there, they are telling you you're immoral. At the end, when they're telling you that there's people coming up, hey, we want you to come up and talk to these people because we believe this is a spiritual issue. They're telling you that if you're against it, you're something wrong with you spiritually. There's all these little things they're telling you throughout the whole thing. It's to lead you, pushing you in a particular direction. I think it is. I personally wouldn't be going to this church, but listen, everybody's got their own thing. But the more I see from this, the more I see, wow, you would waste the time of your congregants to, I mean, this was an infomercial.
Well, for those who say, well, I don't know if I can connect the dots, as Simon Harris said the other day, all the way up to the video, they say you've got to respect authority. You're basically going to hell if you don't respect authority. Respect authority, respect authority. And now here's some authority.
Really? Yes. Yeah. No, it was really bad. And I'm tempted to put a video together that takes all of those little elements and just rapid fires them at you.
Oh, but then you know what you'd be accused of by this guy? That's highly edited, Michael.
It would be highly edited, but it gives you the flavor of the thing. But listen, don't take my word for it. Go to their website or go to River Valley's YouTube page or go to badcounty.com and watch the clips that we have. But if you want the full thing, go to River Valley's webpage or their YouTube page and watch the whole video. Watch the whole thing.
Here it is.
Don't take my word for it.
It's right here. Here's Pastor Goins telling you that you must respect authority, and bad mouthing the founding fathers, and here are the authorities discussing how important it is to do this. And what we don't have is videotape of Pastor Goins, who is a member of Cuffs, joined by Julie Thomas, the hate and discontent lady, and Jim Brumbach, who's on the county's, he's a city councilor and he's on the county's budget committee.
Well, it's a very interesting thing here that in SOS, in Cuffs, on Facebook now, the most strident pushers of the levy are all county employees or their close affiliates of county employees. Their familial relationships and things like that. And then, of course, you have some, there are a few, but the core of those, they're all interconnected. There's all this, some might call the good old boy network.
I think there's becoming increasingly they're becoming increasingly desperate. I mean, we see that they're stealing signs. Come on. They're jumping out of the car to grab up the sign and throw it in the back and take off with it. You cannot compete in the marketplace of ideas. You have to shout people down. The guy's invited to come and make a presentation, and they're trying to shout, and a couple of people are trying to shout him down rather than let him complete a sentence. This just happened to us the other day. It happened to me. Some guy's trying to stop me from speaking. Hey, why, JJ Schofield? I've got to stop you. I've got to stop you. Hey, JJ, shut up. You're not even on this committee. What do you mean you've got to try to stop me? Who gives you the authority? Well, I'm a county employee. Hey, shut up.
Yeah.
I can't give you 3 minutes because you'll take over the meeting in 3 minutes. What?
Yeah. What's wrong with you, Dale? You're just a Satanist. That's your problem.
All right. Go ahead. Play the next dang ad. I don't want to be a Satanist. Not today.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. At the Monday meeting of the Illinois Valley Airport, Cheryl Walker tried to explain how the board made a decision without, actually making a decision. Her explanation was laughed at. Badcounty.com, news without filtering.
So, Mike, what do you think about that, bud?
I feel like I just smoked some Camel non-filters.
Yeah, well, I could have said, but I've said it in the past, news, news that hasn't been sanitized for your protection. I love that one. But I don't want to say that every time. It hasn't been filtered. Have you seen that story in the Courier? Have you seen the story about what Cheryl Walker did? You haven't seen that in the Courier? That's not going to be in the Courier. You're not going to get news. You'll get press releases from them.
What's going to be interesting coming up is the aftermath of this, because I'm assuming, because we talked about this, that the decision that they didn't really come up with, but kind of came up with, was whether or not to send a letter of default to Manor Development. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
So I don't know if did Wally draft a letter to them, and have they now been informed that they're in default, and what's going to be the fallout of that one?
It was put together, it was sent out, and Manor Development said, could we please have even more time? We're going to need at least another 30 days. They gave them 30 days. Oh, we need another 30 days. So January, no payments. February, no payment. Remember, they were fully vetted by Larry Graves. March, no payment. April, no payment. Now, May, there will be no payment. They need to the end of June. That equals 6 months, I think. And do you think you could go 6 months without paying your rent?
Well, here's what I used to do. Because I was a residential landlord for many years, and people sometimes would get behind, and it rarely ended well. But there are some cases where somebody would come up to me, and they're already 2 or 3 months into me here, and they're coming up to me and they pay me a month's rent, and then they go, well, that was for this month. I go, no, it wasn't. I'm applying that to the furthest month back, and that gets you a month closer, because as soon as they get this precedent that you just applied it to the current month, they've got you, and you can't, but of course the rules are different in this particular case. You're not talking about residential rental, but the bottom line is that this is already bad. People don't come back from being 6 months behind. That's a lot of money. As I recall, this was somewhere on the order of, 5-10 grand a month.
It was a lot of money. And they've now said, we also want to renegotiate the contract. Oh, that puts them in a power to make the rent less.
Oh, yes. Right. Yes. You know what? You're a fraud. You're a fraud.
But they've been fully vetted. They've been fully vetted. Yeah, and what's the most important
you're a fraud
of being fully vetted?
Yes.
The biggest contributors to Simon Harris' re-election campaign.
Yes. And you know who's just as big a fraud here as anybody else? Larry Graves. Because Larry Graves vetted him, and you didn't do a very good job. You didn't vet him at all.
Oh, you can see me trying to ask him a question about that. Oh, man.
Well, you know what? Guy's clearly a loser. This is just some BS thing. You didn't vet these people. Clearly, you didn't vet them. I mean, that's just stupid.
So, when do you know that you're getting close to the heart of something? When you ask somebody a simple question, and they try to give you some kind of long BS about some other kind of thing. Cheryl does that all the time. And no, that's not the question I'm asking you. Well, it's already been asked and answered. No, it hasn't been. You haven't even attempted to ask it. So, okay. Play the next ad, please. Okay.
Well, here, hang on a second. Before we get off of this, I can tell you. Here's what's coming next. Well, there was nobody else lined up to rent from us there anyway, so this is really no big deal.
He has already said again and again, okay, this is the question I asked of the commissioners in the meeting that followed this, because there was a meeting out in CJ. Why is it that Larry Graves and you commissioners keep telling everybody that this hasn't cost us a single penny? Ray, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, partly because Larry Graves came and he got more money for his people based on all the work they'd be doing related to. And so what have they been doing? Why do you keep telling us it's costing us nothing? It's the same thing as Keith Heck saying, I was not involved at all, and the commissioners were not involved in the starting of this levy. Yes, you were, and we have it on tape. It's part of the public record. Stop lying to us.
And so what we need to do is, when this thing goes south, because listen, people, here's what's going on here. I'm more convinced of it every day. This is what's called a lease option. And that is where you come down and you go, okay, I'm going to pay you a certain amount of money, and I have exclusive rights to this particular real estate.
The airport?
And then, well, yes, and that is what's going on here. So then ultimately they find somebody else to flip that to for a profit, and then they walk away with some money in their pocket. That's what's happening here.
What's called the name of his whole series at the church?
Yes, right. Yeah.
We're going to flip this county?
Flip this county. They're going to flip the whole county. Look out. No,
they have a lease with an option to buy?
Yes. So the bottom line here is this thing was a real estate scam from the word one. And really, it's not a scam. You know, if you're smart enough and you set this up and your timing is right and you get somebody and you can flip them right in there and do the deal right like that, then you're the hero. But if you can't pull that off in 6 months, you're a zero. And guess what? You're a zero.
Oh, I just hate it when Mike just tries to hide his feelings.
Well, you know what? We're being bamboozled here. So anyway,
we're going to help you fight that.
Yes. Next,
okay,
Dad.
play the next one. Thank you.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. At Monday night's joint city-county meeting in Cave Junction, Keith Heck tried to explain how the board will make minutes available, even though no one bothered to take any notes. They know that's illegal. Badcounty.com. News without filtering.
Well, so Mike, tell us, why is a